Hey everybody, what is up? Welcome to episode 53 of Teach Play Disc Golf. I'm your host Antonio and I am so excited to have you with me here today. As you saw in the title and in the thumbnail, we're talking about something that is, I think, pertinent to a lot of players. We are going to talk about what it takes to be a 900 rated disc golfer. So that's the topic for today. That's all we're talking about. We don't have a disc review, but we're going to dive into six things that we all need to do in order to be 900 rated. And then two things that maybe some people think they need to do that they actually don't. So without further ado, let's get into it. When we talk about becoming a highly rated disc golfer, I think a lot of players understand that 1,000 rated is incredibly difficult to achieve and it really is pro level. I think we naturally understand that 1,000 rated is really challenging to get and it's really hard to get there. You have to grind the sport out. 900 feels like that distinction, that separation between I've been playing for fun and I'm having a good time and I see myself getting better to, okay, I'm really competing in these events. I have a chance to win some of them. I've won some of them, or I'm just really noticing my game excelling even under pressure and all those kinds of things. And I think that 900 number is something that so many players look forward to because there's a lot of validation internally that comes with that. Yes, there's the validation of when people see your name on a scorecard or when they're prepping for a tournament, they see, oh, he's 900 rated, he's 915 rated, he's 948 rated, whatever those things might be. Yeah, there's validation with that, but I think intrinsically we look for that validation to say, okay, have I achieved my goal? And I think for a lot of players, reaching that 900 threshold is a massive goal. So I know it was for me. And it took me a couple years to get there, and I'll go into that story at the end. But I wanted to just dive into these 6 tips that I have for you to become 900 rated. And if you're already 900 rated, but maybe you're in the low 9s, these are still tips that will help you stay 900. These are things that I am actively doing. So these are things that I did to get to 900, and then things I continue to do to remain in the plus 900 plus range and continue to push further and further up the rating scale. So the first tip that I want to give is playing clean rounds. Now, what that means is you have a birdie to cancel out a bogey. This is not about finishing every round 3 or 4 under par or 6 under par or even just even. Every course is rated differently. They're not all the same challenge. And so you have to just make sure that if you have a bogey, that you have a birdie. We want those to cancel out. And so if you play a challenging course and you shoot even and you had some birdies and you had some bogeys, you should be walking away proud of that. We want to cancel out the bogeys as much as possible. And then obviously, like, part of keeping a clean round is not getting those bogeys. So we really want to avoid bogeys at all costs. And we're going to get into a little bit of how to avoid that entirely. But when they happen, because they do, whether it's OB, an errant shot, an unfortunate wind read, a tree kick, whatever, it's going to happen. It's how we bounce back and recover that stroke. So we want to get that birdie. The second thing is to stick with your bag. I know this is really hard because all these manufacturers are putting out these really cool discs that are now like all these player lines that we want to try and have fun with and all these really cool stamps. And I'm telling you guys, everything cannot be a collectible. All right. So you're not going to get to resell everything. So stick with your bag. Okay. That's tip number 2. Stick with your bag. I know it's really hard, but stop changing discs. And if you're going to change a disc, you don't take the one out of your bag completely. You make that new disc earn the spot. Okay. And so the reason why we want to stick with your bag is that the longer you throw a disc, the longer you throw specific molds, the more you're going to learn it, the more you're going to know what to expect of it. And come tournament time, when you're facing conditions you're expecting or conditions you're not expecting, you are prepared because you know the discs in your bag, you know the exact stability that they have, and you know exactly how they're going to react. There are few things worse in disc golf than throwing a disc you don't know when you need it to count the most. So stick with your discs. Okay, this includes your putter. Stop changing putters. Okay, I'm a firm believer that it's the archer, not the arrow. But at the same time, as we work on our putting and improve in our putting and C1X percentage, you get comfortable with a certain flight, you get comfortable with a certain hand feel and your release. And so we want to maintain that consistency. So by sticking with your bag, you're really just focusing on consistency and just learning the discs. You will improve way more by learning the discs that are currently in your bag than you will by changing them every 3 to 4 months. Okay? So the third thing, and this kind of ties in with the clean rounds, smart shots over risky shots. Okay, we talked about in tip number 1, birdies to cancel out bogeys. Well, a lot of times, I won't say a lot of times because everybody has a different play style, but sometimes a bogey comes because we tried a risky shot. Now in a casual round, that is the time to maybe extend yourself, see what you can accomplish on the course, maybe go for the risky shot and realize, wow, that's actually not as risky as I thought. And if that's the case, great. You can start implementing that into your rated rounds, your sanctioned rounds, your league rounds, whatever it might be. But for the most part, the smart shot will always be better than the risky shot. And that's because while there's a high risk, high reward for the most part with those risky shots, a lot of times we overemphasize the reward of those risky shots and we don't learn to just take our medicine. Or sometimes we realize once we take the smart shot, especially if we're scrambling from somewhere, it actually saves our round more. Because you got to think bigger picture. It's not just about executing the shot. It's not just about getting the lowest score on that hole. When you're in a rated round, when you're in a sanctioned round, there is the mental side of it. And if you have the opportunity to take a 4 on a par 3 by playing a smart shot, or you run the risk of taking a 5 or 6 on that par 3, the mental game is going to be much worse if you take that risky shot and end up with a 6. Because now you have to tell yourself, okay, that hole's over. I've moved time to move past it. Time to play the next hole as if nothing happened. But at the end of the day, you know that you took more than likely 2 extra strokes that you didn't need to take. And as you're climbing the ranks to get 900 rated, those 2 strokes can be 10 to 20 rating points. And so that's why it's so important to take the smart shot over the risky shot. It will be so much better for your game rating wise, and mentally you're going to be stronger because you're going to start to see the reward in playing smarter. Okay, small little tangent here. Remember 2-3 years ago, I was probably about 3 to 4 years ago, Simon and Paul made a video playing together and they swapped lines. Simon took Paul lines and Paul took Simon lines. And we've seen Simon's transformation since that video. He literally saw it click in his head after 20 years of playing disc golf and always taking the Simon line, which was the fun, entertaining shot. He saw just how much better he could play a course by taking the Paul line. And it was simpler golf. It was smart golf. And sure, it wasn't as entertaining as at that time we had seen Simon throw in some rounds, but Simon was playing better and his mental game was stronger. And I think that's a huge reason why the last 2-3 years now, we've seen him win so many Disc Golf Pro Tour events because it clicked for him. And so the same thing can click for you. Take the smart shot, don't take the risky shot. And if you're not sure, play a casual round at this course, whether it's a tournament or just your local course, and just play all the smart shots. And I don't mean uber conservative shots, just smart shots. If a hole is 275 feet, you might try to go something, with a dog leg to the left. You might try to go sky high hyzer with a distance driver over the trees, or just trying to get over all that and throwing something that requires 350 feet of power when you only need 270, 280. Go and throw the mid-range. Go and throw the fairway driver. Play the smart shot. Play the shot that's going to score well 90% of the time. Okay, when you don't know what the smart shot is, or when you're unsure of the shot to take, tip number 4, and this is my recommendation, some people might disagree with this, club down when in doubt. This is something that I've done for a long time. If it looks like a distance driver line, but it also kind of looks like a fairway driver line, and I can't quite tell what I want to do, I will always choose the slower disc between distance and fairway, between fairway and mid, and sometimes even between mid and putter. And there's a couple reasons for that. One, the slower disc gives me more control, and that's huge for me. Two, a tree kick or just an errant throw with a slower disc will often be more recoverable than with a faster disc. So if you hit a tree with a distance driver, because of the shallow wing, because of the way the disc is designed, the tree kick is going to be much worse than if it was a fairway or a mid. And especially when you're talking between mid-range and putter versus fairway and distance drivers, the tree kicks, the reactions with the putters and mids will be less devastating, especially on a wooded course, than with drivers. And so that's why I always recommend clubbing down when in doubt. It's something that I do. And what you're going to actually find is that it's going to improve your putter and mid-range game as well. And you'll find yourself in tournaments, whether you're tired or you're feeling nervous about something, you now have discs that you can trust no matter what, because you've thrown them over and over when you've clubbed down, and because tip number 2, they stuck in your bag for so long, you know exactly what they're going to do. Okay, tip number 5, to become a 900 rated disc golfer. And so this is specifically when you're in a tournament. You guys need to do the best that you possibly can to ignore what other people do on your card. Especially, honestly, it doesn't matter if you've played the course or not. Whether you've played the course 200 times over the last 2 years, or you're just now showing up playing the course for the first time and you didn't get a chance to have a practice round. Ignore what other people do on your card. Every time you step up to a hole, whether you've played it or you haven't, think about your game, think about your skill set, what you can accomplish on that hole. If you've played the course before, you should know going into a tournament what every disc is you're going to throw. And this is something that Matt and I did recently when we played at Veterans Park. At this point, about a month ago, for the Fahrenheit Flank. Super fun. We rode together because it was a couple hours away. And literally in the car ride, we talked about, okay, on this hole, it's this distance. And we have played this course many times before. So we could visualize it. It does this, it goes uphill, it goes downhill, it goes left, it goes right. We knew what the course was like, what the trees were. So we were talking through the holes and we were literally saying, okay, I'm going to take this disc and throw this shot. I'm going to do that. So when you know the course, you should be verbalizing that out loud. If you drive by yourself or you're driving with a buddy who's playing, talk about that with them. Like, hey, hole 2, 300-foot uphill shot. What's your game plan? Because when you verbalize it, you're bringing it to memory. All right, you're sticking it to memory. To, hey, now when I step up onto hole 2, I said I was going to throw the Wraith. I said I was going to throw the Eagle, whatever it was. And you look at that and you say, yeah, that's a good game plan here, especially when you know the course well. If you don't know the course well, that's okay. You can still have a game plan. And what you need to do, what you need to do is analyze the hole, okay, before you throw. Don't just trust where other people on your card have thrown. You need to do your best. So you get 30 seconds, right? And so if you need to jog up the fairway a little bit, if there's a dog leg or something, take advantage of that time. Don't rush your shot. You need to think about what are your strengths and weaknesses. And you think about maybe how your round's going. Is something clicking? Is something not clicking? Okay. And this is something that not everybody's going to be able to do for every hole. But if you see a hole in front of you, try to think of a hole that you've played before that it reminds you of, that you can execute the shot. Everybody's going to have something a little bit different with that tip, because if you haven't played the course, then it's kind of hard to know exactly what your game plan is. But most tournaments are multiple rounds, whether it's 2 in one day or it's 2 or 3 over the course of a weekend. But ultimately, I say all that because ignoring what other people do on your card will improve your game immensely. You can learn from them, get the win reads and all that kind of stuff. But if they're all going Spikeiser and you know that you don't have a good Spikeiser in your game, don't throw the Spikeiser just because everybody else is throwing the Spikeiser. Don't throw, the straight shot if you know that, hey, that's not going to work out for you with the disc that you're throwing. Don't change your game plan based on what other people are doing, because you know your game plan, you know your strengths and weaknesses, and you need to stick to those. Remember, we're talking about getting to 900 rated golf. We're not just talking about having fun and all that kind of stuff. We're talking about improving your tournament rating, improving your skills and ability. And so in order to do that, we can learn and observe from others. But when the strokes count the most, I do not recommend doing the same thing as everybody else, especially if it differs from your game plan. I would just stick to your game plan and ignore what other people are doing on your card. And then the 6th tip I have to become a 900 rated disc golfer. Your backhand and forehand, each of them, you should be able to throw each one of them with accuracy over 250 feet each way. You should have a 250 foot plus forehand and a 250 foot plus backhand. Easy. We're not talking 240, 230. Sometimes I hit 250s, 260. No, like your mid-range is flying 250. Your fairways are hitting 275. We want to be able to execute that shot consistently with different discs and it not be a max distance. However, one of those should ideally, the backhand or the forehand, should ideally be able to get you 325 to 350. The reason that is because there ultimately comes a point where to reach 900 rated, you need to have more birdies than pars. Or not just more birdies than pars, but you need to have more birdies than bogeys, definitely. But you also need to have a good sprinkle in there of birdies, okay? Because even at a course might be 850 rated. So that means you have to shoot minimum 5 under to get that 900 rating. And so you need those birdies. And if you can't throw over 300 feet, there are a lot of disc golf holes that are going to be challenging to reach. You'll be able to get pars on them. You'll be able to play really clean golf, and that is really good. But you need to be able to execute on those 320 to 375 foot holes that are par 3s, and disc golf is full of them. And if you have a backhand or a forehand that can go 325 to 350 consistently, you dramatically improve your chances of getting 900 rated. And if you don't have one of those yet, that's okay. Keep listening to this podcast. Keep listening, keep watching my videos, pay attention to other disc golf coaches and creators out there who are going to help you get to that point. You will get to that point if you continue putting in the work and putting in the time to learn new skills and work on your game, not just at a field, not just on the course, but all inclusive, doing everything that you need. It will eventually come with the right teaching, with the right understanding of how your body works and the coaching that you're receiving. It'll get there, might take longer than others. I've been there. Took me years to get to 900 rated, and we'll talk about that shortly. But notice, I know that last one talked about distances, but that's mainly because you need the ability to attack certain holes in disc golf to get birdies. A 350 foot hole needs to be birdieable semi-regularly for you. There are some really tough 350 foot holes out there that if you don't birdie, it's not the end of the world. But there are some open 350 foot holes that you need to give yourself a birdie look 7-8 times out of 10. Doesn't mean you're going to make the birdie every single time, but we're just talking about giving yourself that opportunity, because that's how you're going to get over that 900 rated hump. Okay. Now, outside of that one, really, you could include it with all the others. Notice how I didn't talk about putting. I know, drive for show, putt for dough. I've talked about it on this podcast before. Putting is super important to disc golf. Ultimately, putting is how your rating will improve the most. But we are talking about just strictly becoming 900 rated here, getting to that 900 threshold and above. To keep growing, you need to improve your putting. You need to get great at putting. You need to have a good C1X percentage. You need to be confident from 20, 25 feet out. But to get to 900 rated, you just need to be good. You don't need to be great. If you can make your 15 to 18 footers, if you can make, I would say 7 out of 10 of them over and over and over again, if you can make 70% of your 15 to 18 footers, you can get to 900 rated. Now, if all of a sudden that's what you're practicing and you go to a 25 footer and your percentage is 30%, there's obviously a big discrepancy there and you got to work on that 25-foot putt. But C1X percentage to get 900 rated does not need to be as high as it needs to as for 1,000 rated. Okay, so to get 900 rated, it's not about being the best person at putting. If you never give yourself a chance to really putt because you can't drive 300 feet, then what? What good is all that putting if you can't birdie a 315-foot hole? And so this is why I talk about why that last tip there is being able to at least have 325 to 350 on your forehand or your backhand, and then the other one being at least 250. When you can have that dual utility, that dual threat in your bag, you can attack so many more holes, not just off the tee, but also off the fairway. Now a 500-foot hole is just two 250-foot shots. And you can go driver off the tee and get 330, and then have less than 200 feet to attack and get, if it's a par 4, getting that tap in birdie maybe. But you don't need to be able to putt 90% C1X to get 900 rated. Something else that it's not about, and we talked about this when playing smart shots over risky shots a little bit, but I just wanted to reiterate it here. Aggressive plays are not that rewarding. You need to play smart. Don't take the aggressive line. Even if you're having a bad round, you got to understand that these things compound. And if you're already having a bad round and you go and take a triple bogey because you took a really aggressive line and then you took another really aggressive line and then you took another really aggressive line, it's going to wear you out mentally. It's going to make disc golf not very fun, and it's going to tank your rating. The risk is not worth the reward when you're trying to get to that 900 rated round. Leave the aggressive plays for the casual rounds, for the fun rounds, for the one disc rounds. Leave the aggressive plays for that. Take the smart play for your rated rounds. Okay, so 6 tips to become 900 rated. Play clean rounds. Make sure you have a birdie to match every bogey. Stick with your bag. Stop changing discs. Stick with the stuff that you have that you feel confident in and get to know those discs really well. Always choose the smart shot over the risky shot. Club down when in doubt of what to throw. If you're stuck between a fairway and a distance driver, throw the fairway. A mid-range and a fairway, throw the mid-range. Always club down when in doubt. Ignore what other people do on your card on tournament day. Stick to your game plan. And then the last tip is you need to be able to throw 250 plus feet backhand and forehand, especially in today's game. And ideally, one of them is 325 to 350 feet. That'll help you attack a lot of longer par 3s and give you a lot of extra distance on some of those par 4s to get those birdieable opportunities. So I want to know, what did I miss? What do you think should be included? I know we talked about distance there on that last one, but I just wanted to give some kind of metric to help with that. But if there's another tip that you have that for if you're a 900 plus rated disc golfer, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. What is something that you found to be really important on the road to 900 rated? And if you're not 900 rated yet, I hope that you found this episode to be really encouraging and really helpful. We are all on our journey. And so now I want to just share a quick little story just for a few moments about my journey, because I had quite the journey on getting a 900 rated. I probably had my first 900 rated round 4 or 5 years ago. when I was a forehand dominant player. In fact, around that time, I had some 930 to 950 rated rounds only throwing the forehand. And when I say only throwing the forehand, you might think, oh, you were just mainly forehand dominant. No, I mean, I would not even approach the basket with the backhand. If I approached the basket from 120 feet with the backhand, I didn't think I was going to get the par or the birdie. I was almost guaranteeing a bogey. I literally only threw forehands for years because I did not trust my backhand. And I got pretty close. I think my highest rating that I ever got forehand only was around like in the 880s. Maybe that's a little high, but it was definitely between like the 860s and 885. So, and we're talking literally just forehand. And I think I was somewhere around 881 maybe that I was only throwing forehand. And so it was like ridiculously close to being 900 rated as a forehand only player. But a couple years ago, I got a job that required us to move to Tennessee. And I was really excited about the move for a couple reasons, but one of them was for my disc golf game to play new courses that I didn't have any bad memories at. And I think that we hear a lot in pro sports about sometimes a player just needed a change of scenery and everything starts to click for them. And I think that was really true for me with moving from Texas to Tennessee. I have played a lot of disc golf. It's where I started playing in Texas, and I played a lot of disc golf there from my sub 700 to low 700 rated rounds all the way upwards to having those 930, 950 rated rounds. And I just had a lot of memories on a lot of the courses that I played. And there were times where I felt myself going into autopilot on a course like Alex Clark and McKinney. I'd be really stoked to go play like, hey, I want to try and hit double digits under par. And about 3-4 holes in, I just feel myself like autopilot, not really trying to attack and execute, but just throwing the shot. And you're like having a good time, but I'm all of a sudden I'm a couple holes through and I'm like, I've been chilling, not really doing a whole lot. And I realize, okay, I'm 2 under par. I'm maybe even. Like not playing great score, having a good time, but just like, okay, I did not come here and attack the course the way I wanted to. And so sort of some kind of complacency at times was settling into my round. And so moving to Tennessee gave me that new energy, that new surrounding. I was playing courses I had never played before. And so I didn't have to worry about, oh, this is going to happen again. And the 2 years that I lived in Tennessee totally changed my game. My backhand improved immensely. You guys might remember if you've been following for a while, that's actually when I stopped making like traditional YouTube videos for quite a while. And I was just doing the podcast for about 6 to 8 months only. I found that my time in Tennessee was one of the best things that could have happened to my game by pivoting my attention away from content and focusing more on my game. I was able to just practice without all that pressure that I was putting on myself at that time. And my game dramatically improved to where now I have a 330 to 350 backhand and forehand. And I've hit bigger distances on both of those. I'm just saying, like at any moment, oh, if I need to throw a 330-foot shot, I can do that backhand and forehand. I need to throw a 350-foot shot. I can do that backhand and forehand without really overthinking anything. I used to not be able to do that. And so for me, I'm now, as when I moved back to Texas in October of 2024, I had some really good rounds in Tennessee when I played at the Music City Open for AMS, okay, and qualified for NADGT Nationals in Austin, Texas. I had backhand and forehand that were consistent, that were getting me great distance. All the time my putting was clicking, all that stuff. When I finally came back to Texas, okay, I now had the opportunity to revisit these rounds or these courses that I previously hadn't played well. And so ultimately, it was a travel of 4 years where I was working on my backhand while living in Texas the first time, not really gaining a lot of progress, getting really frustrated, trying everything. I got to the point where I could throw putters and mid-ranges backhand and feel pretty confident, but the moment I picked up a driver, I threw it into the ground 100 feet in front of me because I didn't want anything bad to happen with it being in the air. And so I just didn't trust myself throwing drivers. But then almost 3 years ago, I moved to Tennessee and I had this fresh start. So I could start throwing these drivers without worrying about it. I could start messing around with my game and improving things and getting better. And now I actually have distance drivers in the bag that I throw backhand really well and consistently. And it's made disc golf a lot of fun because I am now mainly backhand dominant. I still throw forehands, but I just prefer throwing the backhand now. So my road to 900, when I say it took me a while, I don't mean I picked up disc golf in 2018 and I was 900 plus rated by 2020. I mean, I picked up disc golf in 2018 and earlier here in 2025, I finally hit that 900 rated threshold. Not because I didn't have plenty of 900 plus rated rounds over the last 4 or 5 years, but I was just always struggling. I was doing the perfect example of an AM where I'd throw a 950 rated round and then I'd follow it up with an 850 rated round, where I'd throw a 900 rated round and then I'd throw an 875 rated round. And so my rating was continuing to climb over the last 3 years as my backhand was improving. But because my backhand was so bad and I started throwing it more often, my rating dropped. So I was at one point, in the 880s, but then I dropped down to the 850s, 860s, maybe even as low as I think that was as low as it went, around the 850s, 860s. So my rating dropped 30 points. And that was because I was throwing backhands now, forcing myself, even in tournaments, to throw the backhand where that's how you're going to get better, when you throw it, when the shots count, learning your game, learning to be confident in your game. And so I had to climb my way back up. I had gotten all the way up to the 880s. I dropped back down to the 850s, and then I was climbing my way back up. And I probably hit that 900 rated mark within a year of having that suitable backhand over 300 feet consistently. Had the forehand that could, with some discs and some winds, hit 400. Okay. So I had that and I was getting there. And so when I do an episode like this, when I talk to you guys about becoming 900 rated, I obviously wanted to make sure that I was 900 rated so I could actually speak on these things. But I also wanted to just share that if you're struggling to get to that point, I've been there. And it's really hard at times when you're really passionate about the sport and you want to get better and you're putting the time and effort in. That's why I say it will eventually come. It might take a lot longer than you thought. You might have a great weekend where you pop off for 2 920 rated rounds, but then you go and follow it up a couple weeks or a couple months later with some duds where you throw some 860, 870s. But don't be discouraged. If anything, start paying attention to your quote unquote bad rounds. And if you're seeing that your bad rounds, quote unquote, are increasing in rating, that's a sign that you're improving. I noticed that eventually over the last couple months, or the last like 6 to 8 months, I noticed that my bad rounds were actually somewhere around the 880 to 870 range, right? So if I had a bad round, I was shooting an 875 rated round. And when I played my good game, when I felt confident, I was shooting that 915 to 935, let's just say. So I noticed that my floor was increasing, which also meant my ceiling was increasing. So when you start seeing your floor increasing, that's actually really good news, because as you continue to improve, your bad rounds are going to happen. But the bad rounds of somebody 900 plus rated shouldn't be all that low, because like we said in the very beginning, that 900 is kind of an aggregate. So for example, at Fahrenheit Fling, the round 1 that I played, I didn't really execute a lot of shots, had a couple errors here and there, wasn't taking advantage of some opportunities that came my way. I felt like I didn't play all that great of golf. That being said, it was 881 rated, which for me felt really low. But when I heard the rating, when I saw the rating, I realized my floor had increased. I had just played what I felt was a pretty bad round, not the worst thing I've ever done, but definitely not what I was capable of. And it was 881 rated. So all of a sudden, I'm feeling pretty good because now I have the opportunity to say, okay, it is time to lock in for round 2. Because if that's how I felt round 1, I could definitely do better round 2. And round 2 was a different course. It was on the same property, but different tees. And so the course really actually played quite differently. I shot 944 rated. And that's a lot of like mindset, but I finally felt that the second round, I was taking advantage of those opportunities that I was giving myself round 1, but I finally took advantage of them in round 2. And I really felt like, okay, wow, I played my game there. I even took a bogey near the end of that round. That was just really unfortunate. So that should have been more like a 950, 955 rated round if I didn't take that stupid bogey. But like, I share all this to just say, as you continue to improve, don't just look at what your rating is, look at what your floor has been as well. Because I noticed over the last 2-3 years, my floor was slowly increasing. If I had a bad round, it would have been an 830, 840. Then it became 850, 860. Then it became 870s. Now it's the 880s to 890s. And that's really encouraging because as your floor rises, your ceiling increases as well. And so just wanted to share that little story to hopefully reach, get to the heart of somebody out there who's really maybe feeling frustrated about their disc golf game right now, that it's not all, hopeless. You can keep working, keep improving, and you'll get there. And I hope you guys found that these tips were helpful, that they made sense to you. Obviously, that's really important. But these are things that I implemented in my game to get to this point. And it was a lot of learning over the years. It was a lot of trial and error and just learning what worked for me, but then also observing how other people play the game, talking to people about how they improved, so on and so forth. That's what's going to help you as well. And so listening to this podcast maybe multiple times if you need it, talking with people who are better than you, going and playing casual rounds with people that are better than you. If you can get over being the back of the box all the time, if you can get over that feeling, you'll improve because you're going to start seeing people play better than you. And one thing, this is the last thing I promise, one thing that I didn't mention is that I played a doubles round where I definitely felt like I was one of the worst players there. And this was at Lear Park in Longview, which is becoming a professional level course. I played a doubles round there where I was definitely probably one of the 2 or 3 lowest rated players. And I played that never having shot lower than maybe 8 or 9 over par on that course. And after that, since then, I have been like even, +1, even, +1, even. Because I got to see better players execute on that course, realize what I can do, what I can't do, how I can execute, what I can do better. And that helped immensely. So whether it's playing a singles round with people who are better than you or teaming up and playing doubles and just sort of like letting go of some things that might be holding you back, that would help tremendously in helping you develop and grow your game as well. But that's all I wanted to share with you guys tonight. This episode definitely went a little bit longer than I was anticipating, but I hope you found it helpful. I always enjoy jumping on here every couple of weeks and sending some helpful tips your way. So here at Teach Play Disc Golf, we really just have 2 things. We want to remember to teach people how to play the game, whether it's taking somebody new out to the course or just giving an encouraging word. Make sure you teach someone this week. And also, make sure you go out and play some disc golf this week. I'm looking forward to it. It's 4th of July weekend here in the States. So I'm visiting some friends this weekend. I'm hoping I can go out in the morning or in the evening and play around in a city I've never been to, because that would be a lot of fun. But hope you guys get out this weekend as well and go play some disc golf. And I'll see you next time, everybody. Have a great round.